Okay, so you're going to be working on an abstract piece of artwork for the next couple of days. First thing you need to do is write your name on your paper and your class period. And you're going to flip that over and you're going to work on the blank side. For this project, we are using watercolors. I have both these liquid watercolors and I've put a little dab so you can kind of see what the color is a little bit better on the outside, so please don't move those. And then we also have regular watercolors that you would have seen before. What you want to do with this stuff, you're not adding water. You're just using it as it is, okay? And with this watercolor set, you can add water, but to get it started, but then you can also, so now I have it started. It's going to be darker the more I load on my brush. Okay, or if I get watercolor using more water in my brush and kind of dab it up, it's going to be more see-through. What you're going to work to do today is cover your entire paper. We're making an abstract, so experiment around. So I'm going to wash my brush off. And I squeezed some of the water out by squishing my brush so that I could come over here. And I want to use some of the, I grabbed some of the red from the liquid watercolor. So you need to have at least one of these papers done by the end of class today. You can choose to do a second one, and then you'll have two that you can pick one that you want to have for your grade. But you must get at least one done today. You can't do more than two because I just don't have the storage. So that time I just got water in my brush and there's still purple in it, so it's coming up light. So there's no right or wrong for this, but there's steps that you have to follow. So one is covering the whole page. And the next step that you need to follow is getting at least 3 of these things traced, which includes the bucket itself. So if I'm going to take this, what I mean by tracing it, I'm taking my brush, getting some watercolor on it, and I'm going to draw around. And I think I'm going to do that a couple of different times here. Now I've done that a couple of times, and I'm going to see, will it make a mark if I don't trace around it? And it kind of does. That's kind of cool. This time I twisted it on there, and it made a mark as well. So you can probably guess that if you use something after someone else, it's going to have a little bit of stuff on it, and that's okay because we're doing abstraction. Now on this one, I think I'm going to trace the other side of the cup, so I get the smaller one. Let me see what this yellow, if the yellow shows up on my paper. I could decide to paint these in, or I can leave them as just tracings. Experiment around and see what you can get. Okay. If you want to get a straight line, trace along the bottom of the bucket. Okay. If you would like to also experiment around with salt or rubbing alcohol, they do different things. You'll need to ask me for some of that. The salt you sprinkle where it's a little bit wetter. It won't do anything where it's drier watercolor. So I just sprinkled that on there. Now I'm going to use the other end of the brush, okay, to dip out some of the rubbing alcohol. This is going to do something more on the drier section. But again, if you want to use this, you need to ask me for some and I'll bring it to your table. So the salt is going to pull the pigment towards the salt. So around where the salt is, it's going to be a lighter color. And the rubbing alcohol actually lifts the color off the paper. So it'll be more of a whiter spot when it dries. Okay, so once you're done, you're going to carefully carry it flat over to the correct table tray. And if you want to do a second one, the paper is up front.